Hi everyone, and welcome to the City Skylines YouTube channel. My name is Essad, and some of you may know me as the guy who has been working on this airport build for the last 3 years. Today though, I'm collaborating with Paradox Interactive to bring a tutorial on how to build a realistic airport using new airport expansion combined with workshop assets and mounts. We're going to look at 5 different skylines that will hopefully give you some insights, whether you're a beginner or an experienced builder. The first aspect I want to talk about is inspiration. It might seem like a very obvious thing, but you can learn a lot just by looking at real-life airports. My inspiration came from Los Angeles International Airport, as well as Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. There are of course a lot of other interesting airports out there, like the Kansai Airport in Japan, Gibraltar Airport, Dubai Airport, and Balana Airport in the Maldives, just to name a few. Anyway, before you start to build, I highly recommend you to select 1 or 2 airports that you find interesting and use Google Earth to study the layout of taxiways, runways, gates and terminals. So when you start building, you will already have a plan and a pretty good understanding of how an airport layout should look to make sense. This will save you many hours of work in the long run, as you avoid things like placing a taxiway too close to a terminal or designing a taxiway network that is too small to support your runways. The second guideline is the importance of scale. This is kind of the next step after choosing a real airport as a model. If you want the airport to feel realistic, you will come a very long way just by having the correct size of hangars, terminals, runways and other structures. To me, it's far more important than all the details that most of us love to add. I've used Google Earth and its measuring tool to achieve this. When I start to build an area or a structure, I always check the dimensions of something similar. Here, for example, I'm building an almost exact replica of a hangar area in Charles de Gaulle Airport. I check the measures in Google Earth and use a ruler prop in-game in order to get those measures correctly. It doesn't have to be exact, of course, but just having the approximate scales will make a huge difference in the finished result. That I can guarantee you. The third aspect is about what I call creating by combining. For this technique you need a Move It mod, and if you want to do anything possible then you also need a procedural objects mod. By using Move It I can easily copy and paste several buildings into each other to create larger and more interesting structures instead of just plopping down an asset beside another one. With procedural objects I can change entirely how a building looks by changing size, color, shape. That makes it easier to combine several assets into one structure. So by using POMod in combination with Move It, you have total freedom to create and recreate almost any building you want to without using the asset editor. The fourth aspect I want to talk about is functionality. This is what really brings your airport to life. It can look 100% real, but without planes taxiing to the gates or people walking about or using all sorts of transport to get to the terminal, your airport will just seem lifeless. The new Airport DLC brings new functions to further enhance the experience, so make sure you spend time early on to make the airport come to life. It can be a lot of work sometimes, but it's worth it. The last thing I want to mention is research. Getting the details right is really what makes your creation convincing. An example of this is the taxiway lighting, where the center lights are green and the edge lights are blue. To make it more complicated, the taxiway center lights alternate between green and yellow when leading off or onto a runway and inside an ILS critical area. Another example is how runways are numbered. The runways get its numbers from the compass bearing, so if the bearing is 360 degrees, which represents north, it gets the 2 first numbers, which is 36. If the bearing is 180 degrees, which represents south, it gets the numbers 18 and so on. I know searching for this kind of information can be a lot of work, so I gathered some useful links below in the description. The info is categorized as basic or detailed and should give you a pretty good start when entering the detailing phase of your build. So that's all for this time. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future airport content and other updates. Thanks for watching and have a safe flight.